Hey all, this is Martin from howtomakemobilegames.com. Today is July the 5th, 2015. It's a Sunday here in Shanghai. Pretty rainy, bit of a weird day this weekend. Feeling kind of lazy and lethargic. I tried to get some work done today and I was just not able to sort of gear myself up for it. I don't know, I think maybe this past week has been really busy and sleep has kind of been a bit weird, so maybe so that's why I'm feeling a little bit like this. This video anyway is one that I've been wanting to do for quite a while, and someone, Best Game Studios on the Pro channel, mentioned like it would be great to hear about your journey from employee to entrepreneur. The other one, Necrozard as well. Also, how did you begin? He said on the posted on the forum, and how was your revenue for the first 2 or 3 games? And then also Kid Games. I see that you've posted something as well, and I'll answer those questions in a separate video. But this video and this series of videos is just me basically talking to the camera and just kind of, I suppose, like an interview mode, and talking about my experience over this past 5 years now. I can't even remember, 4 years maybe, in mobile game development. So I was always thinking about doing this video in kind of a higher sort of production quality way, so editing and all that stuff, and pictures and sections and planning it out. But honestly, that it would take me so long to do that, because if any of you guys have done any kind of like video editing or sort of small movie or production or anything like that, it takes like a long time to really get that stuff done. So it's really just me talking. I hope this is interesting anyway, with the format that I'm doing this in. So, and I was thinking sort of about, let me just move this a little bit, sort of about how to get this video done and what to talk about. And I was just going over the things in my head of what I could bring up in the video. So hopefully this is kind of interesting anyway, and I've got my bud, I've got my beer, so I'm feeling kind of relaxed. I did this to try and change my state today, because I was just feeling so lethargic. I was trying to get stuff done and it just was not happening at all. I did get some things though done. I did get some chart boost optimization stuff done. I sent an email or two maybe, I think so. But yeah, anyway, so how did I start in games? So there's a lot of things that sort of led up to this point, and it's mad to think how long this has been happening now, because it's been around 5 years or so, probably more. It's been more actually that I've been in games, but it's been 5 years or four years. I'll calculate in a minute. Since I started Cobalt Play and also Panda Tap. So yeah, it's been a while, and it's gone so fast. It's crazy to think about it. But I remember back in when was it now? So I finished university in 2006. I went to university from 2003 to 2006, and I studied acting in that time. I don't know why I studied acting. It was just, well, at the time I liked it and I wanted to do acting, but honestly it was just completely useless for me, and it was a bit of a waste of time, to be honest. If I could go back in time and change that, I would change that to something like computer science, or maybe something in finance, because I have heavy interest in those areas now. But after university 2006, sort of around October time, I decided to come to China and basically travel a little bit, because I'd never been outside of Europe, and I wanted to change what I was doing and really figure out something else. Because at the time, what had happened is I was seeing a girl in university, and we broke up, and then I decided, right, okay, this is my chance to, to go and do something. And teaching was the way to do that. I saw a lot of jobs in China being offered for English teachers. So I thought, well, that's probably the easiest way to get over there. The requirements were not that high, and they employed me really fast as well. in a town called Huizhou in South China. Guangdong is the province, and so I came over here to China, and I remember when I was flying over to China that I was absolutely bricking it. I was so scared on the plane for about 5 minutes. The rest of the, like for the 15-hour journey to switch over as well to change the plane, it was an interesting journey because I was relaxed for most of the way, and then for 5 minutes I was like really scared. I was panicking. I was like, oh my god, I'm on my way to China. What the hell? What am I doing? It's not like you're going to Spain or something, or France. You know, it's just an hour away, and anyone can come and get you if there's any problem. No, it's China. It's the other side of the world, a different, completely different culture. So anyway, I was in Hong Kong, and I arrived in Hong Kong, and then I made my way to mainland China with one of the other teachers in the school where I was teaching. Stayed 3 months in a small town called Huizhou, and then I was really culture shocked there because it was such a small place, and I wasn't used to the culture and people staring at me whilst I was using chopsticks. And China is a big staring country. I love China. There's a lot of awesome things about it, but one of the things that I don't particularly like is that a lot of Chinese people do stare. Even in England, usually we're taught not to stare. Parents say don't stare, you know, to their kids. And a lot of Chinese people now as well, like my wife and friends, they don't like it when people stare. So, but yeah, I was kind of like culture shocked when I went to this small town, Huizhou, and so I decided to come to Shanghai. Sorry guys, I'm just checking if my dog is okay. Louis, come here, buddy. What are you doing? What are you doing? There he is. He always worries me because I think he's going to like pee under my chair or something. So yeah, anyway, so I came up to Shanghai, and that was at the time I was doing music production on my computer, on my Toshiba laptop that I had, 2006, maybe a 2004 Toshiba, which was sort of a powerful machine for me at the time. And I was using Cubase and a bunch of virtual instruments to make music because I was trying to build some career. This is where this is leading on to, guys. By the way, you know, I'm not talking about games yet, but this is the lead up to it. So I was trying to build music, make music, because I'd always been into music. I'd always played keyboard a little bit. I played keyboard in a band a little bit. I tried Cubase at home for a while and played a little bit on guitar, and I was trying to dip into this so heavily just before I went to China and sort of just after I came to China is because I was looking for a career. That was the thing I was looking for. I was looking to build some kind of definition around my life and say, yes, this is what I do. I am a musician. That's it. It's something I love. It's something I want to do, and maybe I can make money and you know, create a job for myself that way. So I was doing this on the train all the way up to Shanghai, which took, I don't know, it's like 24 hours train or something, sleepover train. And so I was doing that, and then I came to Shanghai, and I came to work here in another school for a year. I had a year contract in a school here, which was great. Shanghai was just completely different to overseas as well. Shanghai was very different to the town I was in before, Huizhou, this small town, because Shanghai is a more modern capital, you know, not the capital, but the financial capital of China. So there's a lot of different cultures here. There's a lot of different people all over the world, and there's a lot of things to see and do. Even though, like now, most of my time is just spent in this room, which is fine. It's fine. It's my life now, which I'm happy with. I'm not much of a go out person, to be honest. I'm kind of, we call it in Chinese, we call it henjai. Like I'm very like a homeboy. So yeah, I was trying to define a career for myself, and I was teaching English for a year in this school, and I remember this sinking feeling in my stomach. I can't remember the exact month. It might have been around March or April. Actually, April, because that's my birthday, and that would have been in April 2007. And I had this sinking feeling in my stomach about, oh my God, what am I doing? I have no career. I have no path. I have no definition of what my professional life is. I'm an English teacher, but To be honest, a lot of the time the English teaching in China is very much sort of like a lay-by job until you get to your doing something else. It's one of those travel jobs, you know, that are promoted in like universities sometimes. You know, you go and do a year teaching English and then you go on to do whatever you're going to do, you know, be a doctor or something. So I had no definition. I'd done acting and the... You know, acting never felt to me like a stable career or anything. And to be honest, by the time I finished doing my acting degree, I really wasn't into it at all. So I had this really sinking panic feeling about, oh my God, what am I going to do? I have no profession in my life. I have no skill. I have no practical skill that I can use at all. Like, I can teach English. Yeah, that's good, but most people can from native countries. It's not that hard. I jumped into the teaching position in like a couple of weeks, you know, and I didn't even do a teaching degree or anything. So, you know, but so that was the problem. Like, I wanted to have something that defined me professionally, and for some reason I decided on programming. Generally, programming. Okay, I don't know why I decided to suddenly jump into programming, not specifically game development. I learned programming a long time ago, but I always thought that programming was a very specific skill that was highly in need of. Like, if you're a good programmer, you can always find work. You know, you can always get a job in programming, and it was just, I said to myself, I said, I'm going to learn programming, I'm going to learn C++, or I'm going to figure out what to learn, and that is I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to change my path, because I changed my path so many times the past few years, and it was, to be honest, it was kind of pissing me off really, that I'd gone from like doing acting to working in a bar manager, a coffee bar manager, to doing physics in college, which I failed miserably at, to doing maths in college, to doing a different acting course in college, to working in lots of different jobs, and working as like a data input person, like through an agency, to working nights at a supermarket, working in Asda, like Grumpy. You'll know, you know Asda if you're from the UK. I was working nights there, so I'd worked in car sales as well. I'd worked for a car sales firm, and so I'd done all of these different things. I'd traveled to France for a few weeks, like cycling around, and I wanted to live in France. So I was really upset that I'd kind of had nothing to define me professionally. You know, like somebody says, oh, I'm a programmer, I'm a doctor, I'm an architect, I'm a builder, whatever it may be. So that bothered me. And so I started to learn programming. I started to learn C++. I actually got a book online and I printed it off because I wanted to study it as I was walking around, because me and my wife at the time, we did a lot of, you know, walking around the streets of Shanghai and just, you know, browsing around. I had a bag like that was full of just tons of fucking paper, really, just loads of paper, printed off PDFs of books and tutorials and guides, and actually I kind of did that from work as well. I like snuck in there and I used their printer to print off a bunch of stuff. So perks of the job, whatever. And so I was learning C++, and I think the first book I got was something called Starting C++, a Beginner's Guide or something like that. And I remember going through it and I was so confused about it. I did the Hello World program, you know, where you type in the console, hello, you know, the function and the, you know, the void, and then the name of the function, and then Hello World, you know, print to screen Hello World. Real simple, real easy. And I was getting along with it, and I got like sort of to chapter 4 or 5 or wherever it was, and it was just getting harder and harder, like the concepts of programming and coding. But I said to myself, like, no, you can't. I can't stop this. I cannot change again. Like, no matter how painful or boring or just horrible this experience gets, I have to go through it, because even if I make myself as a programmer, at least later I can change something. At least I've got like a foundation of a career, something that I can always go to if needed. You know, I can I can always say, "Oh, I'm a programmer," and I can always get, hopefully, always get a job that way. That was the idea, and so I just had to go through it, and it got really complicated around chapter 4 or 5, whenever it was, and I think they were talking about classes and talking about what were they talking about? I forgot. It's like not black. It's not called black box programming, but it's encapsulation, I think, was the word of it. I think actually they went around it a bit. They went to the theory first instead of the examples first. I would have done it a different way. But so yeah, the whole thing was very confusing to me. It wasn't game development. I think there was some point where I started to say during that book that I should learn game development in programming, and I started to read about that because we were online, of course, at that point in 2006, and there was plenty of information online. I think gamedev.net was one place where I went to look information, and I started to decide to become a programmer specifically in game development because game development needs programmers, and it was something that I loved. Really, I always sort of thought about, how do they make games? How is this possible? What do they do? I have no clue. I remember when I had a Spectrum 2, a Sinclair Spectrum at home in the UK, I did try some programming, but that was just copying the lines of text from the back of the book into not the editor, it wasn't even an editor, it was just the console, and then sort of clicking load, and then it would run the program. So I had some sort of basic idea of it, and I also got a book years and years ago when I was about 18 or 19 that I think it was like C++ in 24 hours, and I got like to the first chapter and I didn't go past that chapter. So that was just an example of what I meant about, like, I'd changed too many times what I was, and it just really pissed me off. So I decided game development. I'm trying to think what kind of happened after that. I remember where I was. I was in Shanghai in our first apartment here in Shanghai, still working, still teaching at the time in this school, and still learning game development all the time. I carried around my back, and my backpack, and if you looked inside, it would have been a complete mess of just paper, just tons of paper of how to program, how to make games. I printed off loads of examples of like just programming, game development, C++, and it was a complete mess. I used to go to the mall to wait for my wife to finish work. She was my girlfriend at the time, and I'd just sort of sit there and on this like bench, like on like the third or fourth floor of this really nice mall, and I'd just sit there reading these things about C++. And I had a notebook, and I used to write down like sort of try to visualize these programming concepts of what I was trying to achieve. Also at the time as well, I'd kind of gotten heavily into not like self-help books. I don't really know if I should call it that, but guys like Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, talking about how to be successful, success books and success audio books. So I used to write down goals and targets and plans, all in these notebooks, just loads and loads of writing and drawing, and not much drawing actually. I was never a good sketcher, but I used to write a lot. Like by July 2009, I'll achieve this. By October 2000, I'll achieve that, and so on, or whatever. So I was very into that at the time as well, and I was doing loads of notes. And the first program that I wrote during that period was actually what's it called, Sudoku in DOS in a terminal. I think that's what it was. So it was just Sudoku, the one where you have to do 1 to 9 in every box, and then also across all the lines and rows. And I did that as a how can I say it? I did it as like a line by line. It wasn't how can it didn't have functions or a loop to it. You couldn't click on start and then go into the game, then finish the game, and then go back to start. It was just all command line, just command, and there was no loop to it. So you couldn't start again, you couldn't choose the board size, but it was a start. It was actually, I had on the screen the ability to create a Sudoku matrix, like a 1 to 9, just a 1 to 9 matrix, so 3 by 3, and then the ability to create a larger one as well. And what I did was the ability to remove some of the numbers, so I'd have the solution first that was created procedurally, and then I would remove a couple of the numbers, and it was the player's job to just tap in, the space and then the number of what they thought went in that box. And that was a really big step for me. That was huge, because I'd never done anything that complicated, and it was actually really complicated for my first sort of game, if you want to call it that. And it was just text-based. There was nothing visual. I had no idea how to do anything visual, like textures and sprites and game engines. This was just raw C++ inside of a compiler, like Visual Studio, whatever it is, like a basic Visual Studio that came with the CD, that came with the book or whatever, and just trying to build something basic. Then I moved on to being able to actually have Sudoku, where it was game over and you could start it again. You could tap on it like 1, 2, 3, 4, and it'd go back to the menu. And I actually have some screenshots somewhere, like on an old hard drive, and I put this as part of my resume as well. Like, I'd done this years ago. So that was like, that kind of defined the time when I wanted to be a game developer. I found it very interesting. I found it cool. I'd done sort of kind of research at the time about game development and how it works. I was reading tons of stuff about game development and how to do it. Gamasutra.com was one of them. There's a European website, that's another one. I can't remember the name now. But I was trying to read as much as possible about game development. I actually did a forum post as well in Shanghai to meet people in Shanghai who knew game development and create a sort of like meeting group of people, which is where I met a friend of mine first, and we met up at Starbucks, and he'd worked in games for years as an artist, and so I was very interested in figuring out how to build games and what was the path to take. But it was kind of like trying to find my way somewhere without a map. There was nobody really to tell me what you should do. These are the steps you take to build games and make money from it, make a career from it. Nobody, because that's why I did a bunch of different things like C++. I didn't need to learn C++. It wasn't a waste of time by any means, but I could have made things a lot easier and faster if I jumped into doing a game engine and learning that from scratch. So, but it was really like an open, trying to get from here to there, but not having a map and just sort of wandering around and eventually trying to figure out where I was going. So anyway, guys, I'm going to pause the video because I'm on 23 minutes and I'll be back in part 2 in just a second, so check it out.